This programme's brought to you by Dunlop Tyres, Autosportinsurance.com, Praga New Generation and Spa05.com. It's the DTM weekend at the circuit of Zandvoort on the Dutch North Sea coast. It's round 8 of the German Touring Car Series that pitches Audi, Mercedes and BMW in the battle for victory. And despite strong winds and threatening rain clouds, over 37,000 fans visited the racetrack in the sand dunes to watch their favourite cars and drivers. Supporting the DTM race weekend, round 7 of the Supercar Challenge for SuperGT and GT. And it's not just 3 makes, but 12 different manufacturers, including Corvette, Dodge, Ferrari, Porsche and Aston Martin, who'll battle at Zandvoort. And they all share one goal: to win the prestigious championship. With just 6 races to go, everyone will have to lay it all on the table. But with dark clouds threatening, that won't be an easy task.
Ja, het is even afwachten wat het weer gaat doen.
All depends on the weather this weekend, says organiser Dick van Elk. Forecast doesn't look promising. They expect a lot of rain. Hopefully it'll stay dry for the first race, but that's unlikely, so fingers crossed that everything will go fine.
Vingers gekruist.
So we start with the grid for Saturday's race. After a short qualifying session, pole position in Super GT going to the Corvette of Alex Vantoff. A remarkable result, given that he's crashed twice at Zandvoort earlier this season. But that doesn't seem to have bothered him much, and he set the fastest lap time. I don't know if it's just me, but Zandvoort doesn't seem to like me very much. We haven't got much going on together, says Alex. But this time, the weather was fine. I felt great. I know the track well, and I just didn't think about what happened before. I reset my brain, and it all worked out fine. Well, second on the grid, Danny Werkman and Diedrich Seithoff, who's number 2 in the Super GT Championship. Right behind them in third, Super GT Championship leaders Robert de Graaf and starting driver Philippe Ribbens. And a remarkable 5th on the grid, Barry van Elk. He came close to not racing at all this weekend after dramas in the Mosler in Friday's qualifying.
De wielophanging heeft een tik gekregen.
Well, I bent the suspension, says Barry, after hitting a curb too hard, and then a bolt rubbed against the inside of the wheel, and at high speed it just machined the wheel clean in half, and it happened so quickly it just exploded into 2 parts, and that blew the rear tyre. I spun, luckily ended up in the gravel at Skiflak. If it had happened somewhere else, it would have been a disaster. Nothing too much was damaged, so we've changed the broken suspension, replaced the wheel and tyre, and we'll be ready to go for today's race. Hopefully the race will prove luckier for him. Well, as well as Super GT, the GT class will compete in this round of the championship. This is the BMW Silhouette of Pim van Vliet and Henk Thies. They set the fastest lap in qualifying for the first time all season. Henk saying the JR Motorsport team's done a great job. The engine's even better than ever. We're really highly motivated here to win in Zandvoort, so I hope it's going to be an excellent weekend. Well, in GTB, Rennie Weinen and Charlie Freund in the Lamertink Porsche lead the championship, but this time they're not on pole. First place in GTB goes to Errol Artan in the Race Art Porsche GT3 Cup. Very exciting qualification. In the morning during free practice, the track was still very wet, so I didn't know what to expect. We had very little time to find the right setup, let alone one for dry qualifying, so very happy with pole. Guys did a great job. We found the right setup. Robin gave me good advice over the radio during qualifying. Everything was perfect. So rain on the warm-up lap. The track still very wet indeed. All the top 10 in Super GT on full wets, except for the championship leading Viper of Philippe Ribbens on intermediates. And alongside him on row 2 of the grid, the red and white Corvette of Arie van der Hoek. He is on slicks, and that does not look like a good gamble as they get ready to take the rolling start. The safety car pulls off into the pit lane, and it's a long, slow grind on board with Rick Abresh, a couple of rows back. Race control holding the Reds a long, long time. Eventually they go off, and a good start from the Viper from third place. Philip Ribbons on the intermediates making a good start. Everybody else being very cautious behind. Danny Werkman down in third in the Corvette. Adi van der Herk on his slicks, struggling. And Philip Ribbons looking for the lead, battles further back. Rick Abrecht in the yellow Corvette moves up to 6 ahead of Jan Verslijs. Can see the Mosler in front, and that is struggling for traction as well. Perry van Elk, he slides to the outside. That makes way for Rick Abrecht. He gets by him for 5th. Berlonchen trying to benefit as well, but Perry van Elk keeps the door closed. On board again with Jan Verslijs, trying to find some grip in the wet here. Berlonchen with better traction coming out of Hugenholtz. Alongside Barry van Elk, and with the fast uphill left-hander, Berlonchen takes 6th position. Everyone being very cautious on the throttle. Henk Thies leading the GT class in his BMW. Looks like he's got traction further back. Meanwhile, in the Super GT class, the fight for 3rd. Battle on the outside is Danny Werkman. Peter Verslijs in the Ferrari. Oh, and Werkman's on the grass. Can he collect it? Yes, he does. But here comes the yellow Corvette of Rick Abrecht. On board with Abrecht. Well, this is for 4th place. Abrecht on the left of the picture dives to the inside. That's a good pass. Well, that's into the S's. Alex Vantoff loops the Corvette, just avoids the barrier. Now that dropped him out of 2nd place. Danny Werkman around the outside of Rick Abrecht. This is now for 3rd spot. Well, that's into the Kumo bot. Abrecht down to 4th place. Still, everybody, listen. Desperately trying to get onto the power, but not daring to use it. Red Mosler of Milko Tass just there. He's up to 6th. On board with Peter Verslijs, that's Alex Vantoff in front of us. Coming out of the S's. Ooh, loops it round. Got to keep off those curbs when they're wet. They're like ice. Well, Alex Vantoff recovering right in front of the GTB class leaders. Errol Artan in the Porsche. Kees Kreiner in the Aston. And the dark Porsche, Charlie Freins on the inside for 2nd place. On board with Errol Artan. This is for the GTB lead. Down the straight they come. Out of the final corner, Arie Luijendijk-Bocht. Charlie Freins taking the lead. Errol Artan on the brakes very early. Adi van der Herk into the pit lane. He started on slicks. Not a great gamble. It could have dried, but it didn't. And now he's going on to full wets. And that is going to be a real kink in his race. The track still streaming wet. Take a look again at the start, sitting on board with Adi van der Herk on those slicks, just 0.8 of a second from pole. But look, lead 3 have gone, and the rest of the field streaming by. He can't dare open the throttle. He's almost cruising up to the first corner on those slicks. Rick Abrecht in the yellow Corvette, charging. He's 5th in the GT Championship. Alex Vantoft and Adi van der Herk are both behind him, so this could be a good weekend for him. Now attacking Danny Werkman. Coming up to the Kumo box, the right-hander where Werkman went around his nose to take 3rd place. And Abrecht up the inside for 3rd spot. Werkman tries to fight back. Rick Abrecht having none of it. Oh, keeps the power on through the Arie Luijendijk-Bocht. He's got a good run onto the straight. Slowly gaining on Peter Verslijs in the Ferrari 458 GT2. Now the battle for 2nd place. Rick Abrecht attacking Peter Verslijs. The E-Tech Viper still leading. The championship leaders out front. But that's a good move. Rick Abrecht. The Corvette's looking very strong in these conditions. Listen to Verslijs. Having to use a lot of revs on that Ferrari V8 to get the power down. But that encourages wheel spin. The big torque of the Corvettes means they can possibly go through the corners a gear lower and limit that wheel spin. And now the battle for 3rd. Verslijs in the Ferrari. Danny Werkman, who shares that Corvette with Diedrich Seithoff, up into 3rd place. No mistakes there. Got him under braking for Gerlach. So big American muscle cars 1, 2 and 3 in these streaming wet conditions. Here comes the rain once more on board with the BMW GT class leader. This is Henk Thies. Oh my goodness. Straight off at Tarzan. Rally crossing through the gravel. Is he going to make it back on? He does. Well, Henk Thies still in the lead in the BMW, but right alongside him now almost is the 2nd placed driver in the GT class. This is Frenchman Pierre-Etienne Bourdais. And his black and yellow Volvo S60 V8 looks to all the world like a DTM car. Through on the inside he goes. Got a good run out of Tarzan. Henk Tees perhaps being a little cautious there after running off into the gravel. Bourdais has the lead now. Heavy rain now, on board with the leader, Philippe Ribbons, down towards Tarzan. Oh, skating across standing water, no chance of getting the tyres onto the road, and the leader is in the gravel at Tarzan. A mighty lake there. Oh my goodness! And something's hit him, and it's Rick Abrecht. Rick Abrecht in the Corvette, second placed on the road, has gone straight off as well. Listen. Oh, we're going in backwards. That's a big one.
Ik ging lekker en er was niks mis. Alles ging goed.
Everything was going great. I was catching the leader. The last couple of corners before I spun, Grandpa Schultz was in front of me. And there was a huge amount of spray. I couldn't see the flags, couldn't see the Viper off. So I braked the same point I think that he did. And I just lost it and smashed into him. Well, intermediates having no chance of dealing with that amount of water, nor did the full wets of Rick Abrecht. And whichever way you look at it, that is not a good-looking accident.
Ja, dat was heftig, ja. Dat was heftig. Niet zo heftig als Hockenheim.
That's pretty extreme, says Philip Ribbons. Not as hard as the hit on the concrete wall at Hockenheim. That was a bit harder, but I had no idea he was coming. That was the worst bit. I couldn't brace myself for the impact, so it really scared me. But we're still alive. The team's had worse dramas before, so we'll just have to see what we can do. Well, sadly, both cars were so badly damaged there was no chance of getting them repaired for Sunday's race. That's tough luck for Philip Ribbons and Robert de Graaf. They lose the lead in Super GT, and they'll have to find something to race for Sunday. Well, of course, the safety car was scrambled, and of course, everybody used the opportunity to do their pit stops in the jam pit lane. It was already half full of DTM equipment. Absolute chaos. Well, Diedrich Seithoff, the Super GT Championship leader, hit by René Megane driver Michel Munneman. It's hardly a surprise. Luckily, he was okay.
Nou ja, we kwamen allemaal tegelijkertijd binnen omdat het natuurlijk safety car was vanwege die Viper in die Corvette. En dus het hele Supercar.
Well, we all got into the pit lane at the same time because of the safety car for the Corvette and the Viper, so everybody decided to come in and do their mandatory pit stop. But it's so narrow because all the DTM team's kit. It was chaos. I tried to get in, then I got hit by the Megane. I got stuck with my legs and my neck against the car, and he just drove on. What an idiot, dealing with it like this is Formula One. Well, of course, everybody's desperate not to lose time in the pit lane, especially those who've got extra time because of their success in previous podium finishes. Barry van Elk and Peder Verslijs have no results second, so under the safety car and after the pit stops, Barry moves up to first, Peder Verslijs to second, Frans van Maart and Bert Longin taking third position. Race control deciding to flag off the race early, but within the 75% distance, so everyone qualifies for points. And I think that meets with everybody's approval. But it means that Barry van Elk wins the race. And that means he's going to get even wetter. The Mosa driver this time from the Champagne. Not too much reason to celebrate. It wasn't much of a challenge, that race. The safety car period was so long. The pit lane was a massive mess during the pit stops. The track was so dangerous. I think it's just as well that they stopped the race. Even behind the safety car, I almost spun because of the water on the track. Well, winning's nice, but it's not a real win. Nevertheless, he gets the victory points. Barry van Elk, the winner from Peder Verslijs. Bert Longin and Frans Lamotte claiming third ahead of Diedrich Seithoff and Danny Werkman. GT class podium has new man Pierre-Etienne Bourdais on the Volvo on the top step ahead of Henk Tees and Michael the Hitman Munneman claiming third place in that Renault Megane. And in the GTB class, poleman Errol Artan claims victory from Kees Kreiner, the Aston Martin driver, and Steve Mattison's Porsche in third position. Up next, Sunday's race for the Super GT and GT divisions, and what will it bring? Wet or shine? Perhaps a little bit of both. Stay with us to find out. This programme's brought to you by Dunlop Tyres, Autosportinsurance.com, Praga New Generation and Spa05.com. Hello and welcome back to the Circuit of Zandvoort in the DTM weekend at the end of August. More than 37,000 fans packing the dunes to watch spectacular racing from the different series, including, of course, the Supercar Challenge. Well, in Saturday's race, it rained cats and dogs, and this caught out the overall race leaders and championship leaders in Super GT, Philip Ribbons and Robert de Graaf. They aquaplaned off at Tarzan, and Rick Abresch also spun off, crashing into the Viper. Both cars are out for the weekend, but the championship leaders handed a T-car for Sunday's race.
Ja, dit is de Speedtech Mini Viper.
Speedtech's Mini Viper. Thanks to our main sponsor E-Tech, we're able to use the car for the weekend. Yesterday, Philippe had a massive crash, says Robert, with the real Viper, and the car's beyond repair this weekend. But because the GT class hasn't got too many competitors, we're hoping to score some points in the class, and hopefully we'll be using those near the end of the season. Well, they're going to have to do well in their silhouette car to keep up with new Super GT Championship leader Diedrich Seithoff. Also, a remarkable racing weekend in the GT class for Errol Artan in the Porsche GT3 Cup, not only winning in Saturday's extreme rain, but he also starts his 100th race in the Supercar Challenge and from pole in the GTB class.
Ja, niet te geloven. Ja, heel spannend. Ik hoop dat
That's amazing. I think it's going to be very exciting. Hopefully it'll be dry. That's always more fun. Yesterday the weather wasn't much to write home about. I think it was more luck than judgment, but it's looking good. I'm on the fourth row, so going to give it everything in the race. Main race on Sunday, and again the rain coming pouring down on the formation lap, so the track soaking wet. Pole sitter Barry van Elk deciding to start on slick tyres. He knows that the sun is out. Track surface temperature 22 degrees, so it should dry up quickly. Most of the other Super GT drivers share his opinion. Peter Verslijs, second place on the grid, he's on slicks. So too Ferrari of Bert Lonchin and Franz Lamotte in third place. Pierre-Etienne Bourdais with the Volvo S60 Silhouette has pole for the GT division. Here we go then, ready for the start, and as the safety car leads them round, the track is indeed drying, but there are damp patches, so all slickshod runners will need to be very careful here. Others like Dan Meyer, starting back in 16th place in his Porsche, are on intermediates. And again for safety, race control keeping them a long way up the straight under the red lights. Here we go then. Great start from Peter Verslijs in the Ferrari. He takes the lead from poleman Barry van Elk. Errol Artan loses the GTB lead to Kees Kreiner in the Aston Martin. Diedrich Seithoff in second, Barry van Elk in the white and blue Mosler down to fourth place into the first corner. Michel Munnemans McGann there. Oh, and that's the race one winner. Pierre-Etienne Bourdais' Volvo is in the gravel and he rejoins. Oh, that's the Mini Viper right towards the back of the field. So Peter Verslijs leading from Diedrich Seithoff, Bert Lonchin, everybody else jostling for position. On board with Dan Meyer. Started in 16th, he's already 10th overall. Less powerful cars with a little bit more traction on the wet parts of the track. Oh, but not enough in the background. The blue and yellow Porsche, that's Dirk Schultz. He's looped it round in the middle of the field. There he is. He just finds a little bit too much wet as he tries to get on the gas. Mondeo there having to check up to avoid hitting him. Peter Verslijs leading from Diedrich Seithoff into Corvette. Bert Lonchin third. Barry van Elk in fourth place on board with the leader. Oh no! Oh, and he loses the lead, but he somehow just about stays on. Diedrich Seithoff goes through in a Corvette. Ferrari's second and third. Dan Meyer now attacking Barry van Elk. This is for fourth place overall. Meyer started 16th, but the Porsche with much better traction than the big, powerful Super GTs. Through he goes. Well, his intermediates, unfortunately, puncturing the left rear, and he's gone from hero to zero through no fault of his own. That's the end of the race. And that gives the Aston Martin driver, Kees Kreiner, the lead of the GTB class. Noel Kohler on the Corvette on the inside, clatters into the Aston. Well, Kees Kreiner on the grass. That might be the end of his race. On board with Noel Kohler, trying to make his way up through the field in the Super GT car. couldn't avoid drifting out wide there, and that's a disaster. Barry van Elk, third place now. He'd already got by Bert Lonchin. Now he's attacking Peter Verslijs. He's got a dry line out of the Ari line Dijk box. It is starting to dry up a little bit. Few spots of water on the camera lens though, so it may not stay dry. Lonchin trying to come through on the inside into Tarzan. That's always a good attacking line into the banked right-hander at the end of the long straight. And through he goes. Bert Lonchin up to third. Barry van Elk now attacking for the lead. But look at this, water. It's starting to drizzle again, or is that just spray? No, it's just spray. Corvette versus Mosler for the lead of the race. Barry van Elk putting his Friday practice disasters behind him. He's on the inside. The skies are dark. Oh, and it's raining again down at Tarzan. Can they get the cars stopped? They do. They go through wheel to wheel. Epic racing for the lead. And Barry van Elk goes through. He's taken the lead of the race. And that, unfortunately, was as good as it got. More technical problems. Well, just before the pit stop window opened, I already had some electrical problems. Probably the alternator, says Barry. And the power steering went, then the ABS, then the paddle shift, then the fuel pump. And that was the end of it, really. Bit of a shame. In the GT class, the BMW of Henk Thies is leading the race, but GT Championship leader Barry Mason moving up in the white Dodge Viper. Disappointing result on Saturday, but going the long way around the S's in the treacherously slippery conditions. He takes the lead of the class. And that battle would go on and on. Starting to rain again. The BMW taking supremacy. And in the end, the BMW just managing to stay in front after the pit stops to claim the race win. Well, in the GTB class, the Silhouette Ford Mondeo of Jackie van der Ende, who started, and Nelson van der Poel leading the field. Errol Artan second in the Porsche. Werner van Herk third in that Mazda, just ahead of René Weinen and Charlie Freins' Porsche in fourth position. The Mondeo went out on Saturday's race with a broken drive shaft, so they need a good result as the battle for third continues. Werner van Herk still holding off Charlie Freins. The Porsche's got more power, perhaps slightly better traction, but the Mazda Silhouette is lighter and can brake later. Charlie Freins gets third place though in the S's. Well, the battle not over. Down into Tarzan once more. Mazda pressing and Freins chasing the throttle a little too early, loops it round, loses third place. He'll have to do that all over again. Victory then in the end for Peter Verslijs in the Ferrari, inches ahead of Dietrich Seithoff and Danny Werkman's Corvette. Bert Lonchin, Frans Lamotte claiming third. Verslijs benefiting from fewer success seconds in the pit stops. That tipped the balance. Good weekend for the Ferrari team. Peter Verslijs claiming victory.
Ja, ging in het begin viel het wel
At the start, pretty tricky, says Peter. Track was still wet, it was hard to find the limit. Didn't have a lot of grip, had to save my tyres. Thanks man, he says, as Dietrich Seithoff congratulates him. When it started to dry out, got some heat into the tyres, worked well, suddenly had a lot of grip and could really start working hard. So all in all, a good race. With in total 4 podium finishes for the Dutch-Italian Veka Ferrari team. A good cause for celebration to enjoy the champagne along with the showers. Well, Philip Ribbons and Robert de Graaf finished 5th in their Mini Viper in the GT division. They scored much needed points for Super GT as Noel Kohler and Ali van der Herk dropped back to 4th place in the race. Henk Thies and Pim van Riet took the win in the GT class in their BMW from Barry Mason, Steve van Bellingen and Bert Redant third. Well, our mission, says Steve, to get from the back to the front. They started on the last row of the grid. I think I handed the car over in 6, couldn't do much more. Car was perfect again, so we're ready to do the 24 hours of Zolder with it. Barry Mason's Championship lead getting ever smaller thanks to good results for Henk Thies and Pim van Riet, and this might get even closer before the end of the season. Mason, though, still has the advantage in the Viper. While Charlie Fries recovered from the spinning Tarzan to overtake Werner van Herk in the very final corner of the race. It was a photo finish, but Charlie Fries took third by just 0.05 of a second. Jackie van der Ende and Nelson van der Poel on the top step of the podium from Saturday's winner Errol Artan. Weinen and Fries claiming third in their Porsche.
Super start. Dus,
Jackie's had a great start, says Nelson. I only had to bring the car in and hand it over. Car was great, no dramas today. Again, maximum points, great stuff. I'd like to thank the mechanics, they did an excellent job. And Jackie concurs. Well, Kees Kramer takes over the lead in the GTB Championship now, 4 points ahead of former leaders René Weinen and Charlie Fries. And that was round 7 of the Supercar Challenge Championship from the Dutch Sea Coast. If you'd like to see more about the racing series or check out some great photos and videos, then download the Supercar Challenge app from the App Store or just visit the website supercarchallenge.nl. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time out. This programme's brought to you by Dunlop Tyres, Autosportinsurance.com, Praga New Generation and Spa05.com.